Hello everybody, welcome to my devlog. In this video I will be covering the inventory system, related changes to that, and the new shop system, which is what you're seeing right here. This is of course placeholder stuff. It's not going to look like that. I do have an artist who is helping me by the name of Brandon. It's by Lord Brandon on Discord. His information will be in the description. But this is going to be isometric and actually, drawn instead of just being a blueprint. But the blueprint gets things roughly in the right places where you need so you can see what's going on. So that's what we have here. So on the matter of inventory, let's see. So one thing here, we got our shelf. This one here, it has one of the items that you create. So in this case, this one is the powered Warhammer. I don't know if I've shown that. I don't think I have. It's pretty nice. One of the things that I will be doing that is not currently done here is when you create the items in the level, I'm going to be compositing the sprites over the base items. Like this is the base item right here, right? So, say you put your crystal down here, and your switch rune here, and your emitter rune up here, and your conduits running. You'll be seeing those running all along the duration of it. And because, the overlay is actually made from the base item, this should line up just fine. Yeah, so one of the things that was added here was the ability to drag and drop your inventory items as you need. Some inventory items are bigger than others, like this one here. It will not go in one of these small ones, but it'll go in the bigger ones like this. Hold shift to drag, and you'll take half of them. Combine, like that. And if you click on one of the empty ones, you will get the warehouse, which I still need to do something about this. The style's messed up. It's supposed to go this way. But anyhow, you'll get the warehouse here. And for that, you can, of course, drag and drop into the warehouse. Drag and drop out of the warehouse. Control click was supposed to move it to the warehouse, but did not for this one. I think these ones are set to prioritize the hotbar, so it wouldn't. That's an easy enough thing to fix, but because these ones should prioritize this one. Similarly there. But yeah, drag and drop works there. For these, you can only drag in ones that can be sold. So they have a flag that tells which ones can be sold and which ones can't. For the heck of it, I said that these ones can, but generally garnets can't be sold. Like same here, garnet can go in a big slot if you want to waste a big slot, but it'll go pretty much in any one because of its size. So that's this part here, and similarly this brings that up as well. With this, you can move things in between any of the slots, but that'll make more sense later. So we'll wait till we get to the other changes before we get to that. This here's your crafting bench. Click on it, and right now it does not have the crafting stuff hooked up. I do have something that's still a work in progress. I'm not going to show it here. You will probably have noticed that the day has been moving. You can tell by the light coming in. It moves about 1 minute per second. So after about 24 minutes, you'll have gone through an entire day. There's a day-night cycle to this. After a certain amount of time, it starts getting really dark, and these lights will come on assuming that you've unlocked them. That's one of the unlocks. So they come on, they'll let you see around. They can help you if you put them in here. You'll be able to serve customers later than you normally would. Speaking of customers, you can sit here. This thing here, this would be where you'd be waiting for customers. Now in this case, I've hooked it up to automatically play one, and you can kind of get an idea as to what it'll do. You get two options here. You can just take whatever he offered, the 1,000 gold for that, or you can haggle. So let's haggle. Haggle, 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 sold. I got that. That's a placeholder, of course. I'm gonna have it. I'm gonna have something else. I just needed something to show that there's progress going during that time. Essentially, the idea will be when you press haggle, it's going to ask you for a price, what you want to sell it for, and then at that point, it's a waiting game. Literally, just a waiting game. All that stuff's just there to give you something to look at while you're waiting, because it will be. They have an internal price about how much they want to pay for it, and if you haggle with them, it's just however much the difference is between those, however much above it anyways. If it's below, they'll take it, obviously. But if it's above, then, you have to wait that many seconds, basically, for about every gold above it. And that's, a minute in game time. And I'll probably put some sensible limitations in there, because, if you would be, they're not going to sit there and haggle with you till the cows come home, until it's dark. So after a certain amount of time, they're going to have to leave anyways. And I'll probably put in some forward limp tests for you, so hey, they're not going to go for it. If it's too much above what they're expecting, they'll give you some feedback, so you know. So it's not an entire guessing game, but it's still mostly a guessing game. This here ends the day. When that happens, you'll get a nice little thing that'll show up that I'm still working on that will tell you, how much you made during the day, how much you spent, any other things like that. And then it'll go to the next day. And then there's the changes to the crafting area. So this is not crafting area, the research area. This is your research desk over here. So all the things you've seen before that I've been working on, that was for research. That was the research area, and that's what this thing is. And you'll probably notice that this is basically what you've seen before. It's just this little area. So let's go into it, and you'll see it's a little bit different now. Now, get this grid here. There's this one. This is just the sandbox area. I'm probably going to be reworking a little bit about how I handle levels. All the previous puzzles, they were all an individual level. And given that this is probably going to change even more in the future, because right now this is still placeholder stuff. And I don't want to go change all the levels, so I'm thinking I'm going to find a way to unify it. Likely it'll be something like you select a base item, and that will give you that outline that you've seen in some of the other ones. And you'll select a tester, and that will determine, if this shows up, or if, what testing area is over here, and whether or not you passed or failed, basically. So this has been changed with this container system that I've showed you before. A lot of the things changed about how the inventory. You'll notice there's not that thing that slides from over here. So instead, what we have, if you press escape, you'll get this. Now these are just a bunch of boxes. You notice they all have labels on them, but this one doesn't. And that's because if you go into them, you'll see there's a text box up here. You can enter a label. And you can basically organize your stuff however you like. You got, how many you have depends on the thing. It's a small box, so it's got 4x4 or 16. This is a bigger box. It's got, I don't know, I think like 64. So I think it's 8x8. Yeah, 8x8, roughly. So it's got a lot more slots. It doesn't have a label, but that's just because I haven't put one in yet. But if I were to call this one, say, MISC, you'd see the label now says MISC. I could just, well, I can't do that. Oh, okay. And I can just drag things in, just like that. And this is that control click I was talking about before. Control click prioritizes between the hotbar and a box. So even if the warehouse is open here, control click is not going to move into there. I basically had to pick one, and I figured this one was the more useful of the two. However, let's see. Just give me a second here. However, aside from dragging directly into the warehouse, there's another thing that will result in things going into the warehouse. So, bring the warehouse back up. Let's go into this component. So let's say I drop this fuse over this, right? So what's it going to do? Now there's a few options. It could swap them. That's viable, but then you're going to lose a lot of your organization that you probably like, because things are just going to be put in weird places. So instead, dropping here sends the switch rune over here to the warehouse. So you can see it's there. Now if you wanted it to be there, in that box, you could just drag it back. But I figured it'd be best to send it to this place over here. And the swapping does happen if you're within a container. So like this, they're going to swap. Nice. Yeah. The only exception is, if you have... These actually shouldn't have a quantity, by the way. But we'll just go with it for now. As you've seen before, if you put one on top of one that's already... Yeah, if they're the same one, they'll just combine, but otherwise they'll swap around. Now lets you, put things where you want them. Makes it a little bit easy for you. And as I mentioned before, this thing has all of the items in every box. So, I do need to add labels to these so that you can see which ones they are by their location names. Because they're not entirely clear as to which one is B5. This one here, by the way, is B1. So you can see signal sources here. So let's say I take this and I bring it to the drop down and I select W. I sent it to the warehouse. And let's say instead I sent it to H, which to be honest is where I meant to send it. And you'll see it's there. So it's able to send between, you can send between any box you want just by changing the location in here. Let's say I want that Yggdrasil fragment. Let's put that in my hotbar. Anyhow, and yeah, if you click anywhere outside of one of those things, it'll close them. So makes it a little bit convenient. Or you can press escape. Escape does the same thing. Although escape will only close this box. It won't close that. But yeah, that, and of course escape, again, when nothing's there, if you press escape, it'll come back here. And yeah, it's got that cool little animation. I think it's cool anyways. And yeah, all the other stuff still works as you'd expect, You can still just add things. You can just do things. Test. And I really like those numbers. Can I make it long enough, make sure that the numbers show up? I need to do something about that, though. It needs to... Probably shouldn't stop like that. Oh well. That's things for another time. Over here, you can't see it, and I don't have anything set to move it over there. But I do have stuff for other things that will be showing up on those. As you've probably seen from the... yeah, you can kind of see here from the top. There's things over here and over here that will place. I'm thinking over here we're going to have tool upgrades. They'll show up here and here. Or they might go away. I don't know yet. But let's switch back to display 1. But yeah, and one other thing that I'll be looking at, I'm thinking, is these items down here will probably have a sprite that shows them up here. So everything in your toolbar will show up on your desk. They won't do anything, they're mostly just there to show. But they'll, so you have this thing here, you got your bottle of salamander blood. You'll have like kind of a little inkwell over here. So you can see it. The exception would be the runes. Well, maybe not. I might have tools that represent those, but I'm not sure. But, I'll have the items there so you can kind of get the indication that you've moved them onto the desk, that this represents the desk area, aside from just being your hotbar. And I think that covers most of it. Let's go back to the shop. I do have it saving the time, but it's disabled at the moment because I don't want to end up accidentally messing up my save state. So I generally go without it, so you'll notice it's a little bit less dark, and you probably just saw the lights go off. That's because they go off at a certain time of day, and it just became that time of day. So the other thing, this is, aside from the lights, a pretty much unupgraded shop. The fully upgraded shop, here, let me give me a second. Actually, I'm not going to show the fully upgraded shop just yet. But as you unlock things in the appliance tree, some of them will unlock things that will show up in the shop. Things that might, one thing would be, I think shelves, you'd probably just buy more shelves, so you don't really have to unlock anything for shelves. There's not really anything spectacular about them. You'll just buy upgrades for the shelves. And there's a lot of different shelving upgrade options, so you'll have space to put these. Things have to be on these shelves in order to sell. So one of the things you'll have to do is stock your shelves. You have to clean your shop. No customers like a dirty shop, and that'll that sort of thing will impact customers in various ways. How likely they are to show up, whether, I don't know if they're going to show up for items you don't have on sale. I'm still iffy on that one. Because I think it would make a kind of sense. They could come in and they could, ask if you have it, and then you could be like, oh, I'll go make it, and then they gotta wait. But it might be better if they just didn't show up at all. But yeah, there'll be different upgrades, things like a range over here, a cooler, various stuff like that, and they'll impact your shop. And that's I think that's most of what I got here. Let's see if there's anything I forgot. So made sure. No, I think that about covers it. So that's what I've been working on since before. Since the last one, I was going to I know this one was going to be on capacitors, and I was going to be working on the capacitors. But as I was talking with Brandon, and the subject of the inventory had come up, and that was kind of what spawned all of this. Because I didn't like the little slide over inventory very much, and neither did he. And so then he had given a suggestion, and then kind of went with it, and that became the inventory system, and then ultimately spawned the idea of the shop system here that we have, at least this interface for it. And yeah, I think when I get the crafting in place and working, and the end of day thing, and when customers I think are at a good point, that's probably when I'll go back to getting all of the things in order. I'll have to get the levels in order as well, but I don't know if levels or capacitors will take place first. Probably capacitors, so I do kind of want to see that. But then again, levels are probably more important, so maybe levels. I'll probably go back and forth on that for a while. Eventually I'll decide on one of the two, but that's some time off. I still got to get crafting in place. It's going to be levels, I know it, because crafting is going to be important for levels. Levels and crafting are going to go together, I can tell. So it's probably going to be crafting. So that's going to be a big part. The levels might actually come before crafting, because getting the levels ironed out, getting the composites in place will dictate the nature of the save data, which is going to be an important part for the crafting part, and the recipes as well. Right now I got placeholder recipes, but I need concrete recipes. So level system probably going to come first, then crafting, then customers, then back to components and such. So yeah, still got quite a bit ahead of me. But I'm shooting to hopefully have something, get this in a good enough state by August so I can get the Steam Next Fest by October. So that's the plan. It might end up going with placeholder sprites. I don't know. It'll depend on how quickly I can get art assets done. But there's a lot of it, so I imagine it'll still have. I'm pretty sure the shop will be done by then, at least, for art assets. But the other things will probably still be placeholders. But the game should have the good stuff. If not, well, there's always next. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.